I want to pick up who's on the phone, but then I'm going to ask that person to do the voice of no with us. So who is on the phone, Chris Martin?
Hey, Al, we have Shoshana calling from New York City, so early phone call today, yeah.
Shoshana, I'm going to preempt, with apologies, whatever you wanted to talk about, because I want to play, are you okay with doing this? I want to play Erica Hunt's marvelous poem, The Voice of No, and have us all talk, not all of us, but some of us talk about it. So would somebody in the Zoom put the link to the text in the chat so that you can all follow it? Maybe that's already happened. Great. Here's Erica Hunt. Oh, Lily isn't here to remind me to ballyhoo Erica Hunt, but I will do it. So Erica Hunt will be one of the Writers House Fellows, Kelly Writers House Fellow, in the spring of 2021. We are extremely excited. And Amber Rose may be mad at me for revealing this, but Amber Rose is working on, as part of Amber Rose's dissertation, some Erica Hunt work. And I'm really very excited about the ideas that Amber Rose Johnson is bringing to Erica Hunt. So, oh yeah, yeah. So that's Veronica, A Suite in X Parts, which is a absolutely devastatingly fabulous book. So this is Erica Hunt. Thank you, Amber Rose. Okay, so here she is reading, reciting, performing The Voice of No. I think I'd like to ask, let's see, Jess, Erica, and Kamara. Well, Amber Rose is writing about this person. So let's have Jess, Amber Rose, Kamara, and Erica, and Shoshana talk about the poem. It's going to have to be brief, each of you, but here it goes.
The voice of no. I have that voice. No need to be contrary. I put on a face. No use for muscle. The workers stand online for hours. No need to read. 24 hours of the shopping channel. No fire. We have the illusion of doing what we want. Is that any way to talk with your tongue pressed against glass? The TV set is barking this Sunday morning, off when we acquire an instant memory and round language where the ends justify the ends. We rummage among the many unplugged connections looking for that darn fraction of a % of the landscape you say it is possible to live in. Who will miss it when we divide up the sun, devour the young rather than give up our good seats? The postcards are bought out. The LP is skipping. And anyway, rescue is sure to be slow. In place of a raft, we paddle ladders past the litter of drifting bodies.
Wow, that's quite a poem. So, Shoshana, would somebody, Gabe, would you post to the YouTube chat the link to the text so that Shoshana can see it? Okay, this is tough because we've never talked about this poem, I don't think. But Jess, do you want to start just making one observation about what you heard?
Sure, I can make one observation. It was great to hear this poem aloud because I was struck by the line that begins, "The TV set is barking this Sunday morning." And then there was a pause and the word off came in a slightly different register, as if it was doing something. Right. Turning the TV off, signifying something. So that struck me because the poem begins with this kind of, with these expressions of, apathy or futility almost, but then the voice was accomplishing something in that line.
Very nice. You got to the heart of one of the things that Erica Hunt does so well, which is to mess with commonplace idioms to help create the sense of dysfunction and of openness at the same time. And there's a lot of dysfunction in this poem. Okay, Amber Rose Johnson, I'm sure you have 50 thoughts about this poem, but give us one of them, please.
I was also really struck by hearing this poem. I think Erica Hunt in general just uses her voice in such profound ways. And the kind of irony of the poem really comes through when you hear her perform it, because she takes on the voice of, maybe I might say it sounds like a newscaster or a TV reporter or like a like Wheel of Fortune oriented individual, which adds a whole other kind of valence to how we read this poem. Whereas on the page, I might just read it as maybe an individual speaking. But then when I hear the poem, it then sounds like not quite a voice of authority, but a kind of voice of the social network that penetrates through to the individual. And I think it's really interesting how just voice can sort of change the orientation of how we read that poem.
Oh, that's really, really, really great. Oh, there's so much to say. I'm just going to restrain myself. But voice of no, voice is a word we use as up to the point of cliche in the world of poetry. But we also hear no as resistance, or no as protest, or no as refusal, or no as parental. There's just so many things it can be. I want to turn to Erica, then Shoshana, and then Kamara. Erica, what are your thoughts?
I agree with what others are saying about how great it was to hear Hunt reading the poem. And for me, what that did was really bring forward how each of the three stanzas is operating on a very different register, which hearing it read, I really got the sense that the poem begins in a sort of, begins in a way that to me feels at least a bit more expansive. So the voice is kind of outside. And then as the poem moves on, it slows down and almost contracts as the lines get smaller.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that's great. Shoshana, how are you feeling about this poem? You called to talk about something else, and now we're talking about Erica Hunt.
No, that's totally fine. I love being thrown a poem to respond to. But yeah, I'm kind of focusing on the first stanza right now, and just looking at the word no, like as it goes down the first word in each line, like no, like that. And I'm also focusing on the line, we have the illusion of doing what we want. And I like what you said about all the meanings of no, and like how that line, we have the illusion of doing what we want, might relate to all those different meanings of no. I mean, I'm personally thinking of it like, oh, I've said yes to too many things, and now I should have said no, and and that whole illusion of like, yes, I wanted to do all that stuff, but now that I have said yes to it, like, did I really want all that? And did I really want, having so much on my plate, that kind of, but, there's so many ways to think about no, and how that line might resonate with each one, I guess.
That's great, Shoshana. Kamara, I know you had something else you wanted to say, so say it anyway and ignore my stupid question. But it's not a stupid question, but ignore my question. I used to read this poem as partly a maternal thing, and no means no is something a mother would say to people who are not behaving well, but also no means no in the gendered political sense. But now I'm thinking about 2020, and I'm thinking about racist violence. And I've never been able to, I used to think it's a poem about Katrina, but it actually predates Katrina. And what happened to the Black community in New Orleans. I don't know what to do with it, but are there any social and political elements of it that you can draw out if you like?
Yeah, when I was reading it myself, I got a sort of maternal, I was reading it sort of maternally, especially that question, is there any way to talk with your tongue pressed against glass? I got grand maternal from that, for me personally, but then again, echoing the gratitude for the hearing her read it out loud, because from that I also got newscaster, I also got entertainer, I got more irony than when I read it the first time, when I read it really sincerely. Of course, glass is surprising from like what I expected, the roof of the mouth or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I think that she's sort of opening up that space for all of those different interpretations, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you all.